What do you get when a coffee-obsessed entrepreneur crashes the world of tequila? You get barrels no one's ever dared to use and a brand the industry never saw coming. Mike Winters didn't chase tradition. He challenged it. Quintaliza is aged in coffee barrels, certified organic and free of additives, fueled by grit, guts, and a vision that rattled purists and lit a fire under true believers. This isn't just a tequila story. It's a battle-tested blueprint for doing things your own damn way. On this episode of Tactical Tequila Podcast with your host, Matt Wilson. If you enjoy the show, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it to your social media platforms. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. Welcome back, everyone. On the show tonight, I have Mike Winters of Quintaliza Tequila, a coffee-obsessed disruptor, walked into tequila and flips the whole industry on its head. No additives, no apologies. Quintaliza isn't just aged in coffee barrels. It's built on rebellion, grit, and vision that rattled tradition to its core. Mike, welcome to the show. I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you so much. That might be the best introduction I've ever heard, ever.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better as time goes.
My work is done here. We're good.
So just kind of diving into things, what would you say is the most misunderstood thing about being a tequila CEO?
That you make a lot of money. That's probably, I think, the most common one. It's that, and that you probably drink tequila every single day of your life. But that's there's a lot more to it, and it's a lot more challenging than one I think would understand.
And is there a moment in Quintaliza's journey that has nearly broke you?
Oh, so many. We started this journey over 3 years ago, and really we've only launched July 2023 is when we technically launched. But about a year and a half prior to that, I was building and grinding and just kind of running through the paces of just the R&D side of things, and hit some roadblocks. But I'm pretty persistent, and I think consistency pays off once you just kind of have something stuck in your head and you have a really good idea and a clear vision. And I think if you're doing something from the right place, it eventually comes to light. But it's never been easy. I don't think there was ever one point where like, oh, this is this is a walk in the park. I don't know what everyone complains about. This is easy. It's to this day and to this minute, it's never been easy. But again, like things that are worth fighting for are never easy.
In talking about things that are worth fighting for, what is the hill in the journey that you're willing to die for on the in the tequila world?
Just in question. I think that for me, in regards to just Quintaliza, you mean, or tequila in general?
Let's do Quintaliza first, and then into the tequila world.
I think for Quintaliza is that we're trying to create a category I call responsible innovation. I think that there's a world where, like I said, the hard way, it's not necessarily the easiest. It's not necessarily paved to create Quintaliza by any means. However, good things come for those who like really just work and grind for it. Quintaliza is a very long, hard process, but that's what needs to be done in order to keep it clean and additive free, to keep it organic. So I think there's a way that a responsibility that is required here to tequila, to tradition, to the aficionados, to our consumers, even people that are just coming over from whiskey or bourbon to the tequila land, so to speak. I think we owe them a product that is responsible, right? That we took the time to create something. And again, like if you're going to do innovation, it doesn't mean, you have to just throw additives into a tequila to be unique or to be different. You can work really hard and create something special. So I think for us, the category of responsible innovation is something that I'm really, passionate about. I love seeing when tequila brands step outside of the box of, how you traditionally may see tequila be made, or aging processes, or something unique and different, but it still stays true to the tradition of tequila and how the initial base was conceived.
Is there one word that describes the mindset that you had when launching Quintaliza?
I don't know about one word. Determined, maybe, I guess, for me personally. I'm a pretty determined person. I think when I have it, I think if you talk to my friends and family, people that are closest to me, they know once it's in my head, it's kind of hard to get out of my head. And I think that's probably the number one word. I'd say determined.
And what would you say the boldest move that you've ever made in creating the brand, and did it cost you anything? Not necessarily monetarily, but anything in general.
Well, I think anytime you step out of when you do something first, let's put it that way. Quintaliza tequila is truly a world's first. So when you do that, you have a lot of education and a lot of explaining to do, so to speak. So I think it didn't cost me money, but it cost us time and a lot of confusion. I think when people hear the word tequila and coffee together, they immediately think Cafe XO. They think of a liqueur. So the educational aspect of Quintaliza is high. We kind of knew that going into it, that in order for us to be to be able to educate the consumer, we're going to have a lot of work on our hands, and I think that was the biggest hurdle for us, for sure. And I think stepping out is the answer to the question, being bold. That's it right there, right? Doing something that no one's ever done before, but keeping it clean, having a black bottle. All of these things are really important, and kind of raise a lot of eyebrows and questions that we have to answer.
Just kind of talking a little bit about the bottle. Can you describe the bottle to the listeners that don't listen or don't watch on YouTube? But can you go ahead and talk about why you chose the bottle design?
Yeah, I actually created it myself. So, Quintal means 100 pounds. It's how they used to measure some weight with coffee in whenever, a long time ago. The Lisa part is completely made up. We were on our third trademark, so we put it into a word mash, and I like the Q and the Z together. I wish I had a more elegant story, but that's the truth. When I created the bottle, we went ahead and I know I wanted it black just because there's not a lot of black bottles out there. I think with the orange stripe, we really wanted to stand off and pop off the shelf. But the bottle, because we were able to paint it black, we were able to go with a little bit less clarity of a bottle, which means it's a little bit more cost effective. But it also felt very light to me. So we went ahead and I designed the bottom to have more of a pattern, like a dumbbell design, to where it feels heavy in your hand. So it's actually not heavier, but it feels heavier. And I think that kind of plays along with the Quintal being 100 pounds, that it's just like this heavy product, this heavy bottle, and it holds a dominant spot on the shelf.
I love how you've just described it. And before this, like, I hadn't even considered that to even resemble the dumbbell, but now that you've said it, like, now I totally understand it and get it.
Yeah, I mean, it's that texture. I thought about it while I was working out, actually, and I grabbed a dumbbell. I'm like, damn, that'd be sick to have this like texture at the bottom of the bottle to where it feels heavy. And it kind of plays along with that Quintal 100 pounds, measurement.
So, in talking tequila and talking coffee, why both? Why tequila and why coffee?
I mean, the number one reason, to be honest with you, is I think it opens up a conversation. Coffee is obviously, we don't have to talk about how large of a market coffee is. And tequila obviously is growing as well. I think it opens up a conversation. I do believe that the processes of coffee and the process of tequila are very similar. They're very involved, very sensitive. I personally love coffee. I'm actually a partner in a coffee shop in Miami, so I've grown since 2016. I've learned a lot about coffee and the productions and the roasting and how intricate and sensitive coffee beans are to temperature and water, and go on and on and on. And much no different than tequila, right? As you produce tequila, it's very sensitive to temperatures, to water, to everything. So I thought that it's unique. I believe that the aficionados in each category are very similar people, and that if I could bring those two worlds together, it's a conversation starter.
Do you feel that there was ever a moment where you would either think that the brand would explode or where it would completely backfire and you hope that it would not?
No, I mean, I was confident based on like again, like coffee's a pretty big market and tequila obviously too. And I think as long as we get the educational aspect out of being additive free and organic and this responsible innovation that we're not a liqueur, I figured that the aficionados would at least try it. And I knew once they tried it, once we got liquid to lips, I was confident that we would get a lot of interest. I don't know that we anticipated as much press as we received so fast. That's something that I didn't expect. Um, we once said I once, a friend of mine started a tequila brand before me, and I think one of the best things they ever said is that we're either going to have a shitload of tequila to drink or everyone's going to love it. So it was along the same lines of that. We're either going to have a shitload of tequila to drink or everyone's going to love it.
What's one truth about the spirits industry that no one talks about, but you lived through it?
Yeah, it's such a small world. The spirits industry, and I think the number one thing I think to be honest, is that no one really knows what they're doing. It's an interesting space. Like you talk to big entrepreneurs and big, companies that have been running, running a tequila brand or other spirits for that matter. And it's kind of like, build the plane as you fly it because I think each brand is so different and so unique. Just to be real, it's like there's not one cookie cutter like template on how to grow a spirits brand, right? Regardless if it's tequila or bourbon or whiskey or wine, each brand is so different. Each consumer is so different. The timing in which those products come out is all different. So I think that's the biggest thing is that like, you talk to people that, oh man, you've made it, you've been so successful. And you realize, man, I just got lucky. I was at the right place, right time. And, we got this person that was famous that talked about it. And then all of a sudden it blew up. And that's really the story. I mean, you hear that a lot from a lot of big brands, not to name them, but you'd probably be surprised on some of the brands that, that had that type of success that were, almost like just, hey, dude, I just really like this product and I went for it and I got lucky, right?
Right. And in talking about success, if Quintaliza wasn't here today, what would you be doing?
Probably still, I've always been an entrepreneur. I mean, I've actually not worked for anybody since I was 19, and I'm turning 44 in a couple of days. So, I'm a medical engineer by trade. Fun fact. So I used to work on CTs and MRIs, and still actually have that company, but started doing importing and distribution about 10 years ago with different brands. And I really fell in love with the industry. I think it's fun. People truly enjoy what they're doing. So I probably would just be, yeah, doing that.
So, with creating the brand, was there anyone that tried to talk you out of the coffee barrel concept?
I don't think anyone try and talk me out of it. I mean, I think it's, if anything, I try to talk myself out of it. Whenever I do any type of idea, different businesses or whatever, I like to just play devil's advocate with myself and just kind of go down that rabbit hole of like pros and cons as to why I should do this or why I shouldn't do it. Um, and a lot of the ideas I come up with, I end up killing them because I was able to come up with more cons than pros. With Quintaliza, couldn't come up with a lot of cons, and we did our first little, pitch to some friends before we had juice. It was just the juice that I made in my barrels in my kitchen, and you know, this profile that I was going after, it wasn't even close to what it is now, but they got the idea and loved it. They liked it. And it wasn't really that good then compared to what it is now. But they could see that I was on the right track. So I think having the reassurance from them pushed it over the edge. But I by far am the one that kills most of the my ideas.
And trying to kill the idea yourself, what did you say to yourself in that moment that kept you pushing through?
It's just that it's something unique. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you want to try and create something special and unique, and you want to have have a story. And I think Quintaliza has a story. There's a lot there where this is something that's different. Like you said, it did in a way shake the tequila industry a little bit. I mean, we are getting recognized a lot from like our content perspective and the way that we do our branding. We're definitely different, and I think that's the biggest point here is that when I wrote down my initial business plan, you can find it on page one. I put "different, not better." Was literally the headline to the entire project. Is that I'm not interested in being better than any tequila out there because there's so many fantastic tequilas. And I could sit here and sip on a million of them and I'm like, "Oh my God, this is so good." I could have any of these brands that are so good. Um, but it's not better. It's just then you have Quintaliza and go, "That's just so different." And I love when people drink it and go, "Oh man, it's so different," because that to me is what the overall goal was, right? Just to have someone smile and go, "I've never had anything like this before."
What was the first reaction from your master distiller when you brought him the idea of saying, "Hey, what do you think about this?"
Yeah, so Ileana, again, like we looked at a couple of different distillers that, we had some interest in, and honestly never even went and talked to any of them because Ileana was the first and only. As soon as I met her, I just knew right away. Again, looking for someone that's bold, someone that's willing to take risks, likes innovation. And I think there's no one else more fitting than her. So when we approached her with the idea, I think she really really truly did like the idea because again to her it matched her brand, it matched her ideas of being different, stepping out of the box. It's not easy, it's a male dominant world that she's in, and she has to fight for that position, and she's done a great job. So I think that that was a no-brainer. But when she tried it, loved the concept, but I think when she tried it was truly when we had her hooked.
Did you face any resistance when you were bringing something that's so unconventional and to a tradition heavy industry?
Well, I mean, anytime you're gonna try and shake the industry, right, you're gonna get a bunch of, raised eyebrows, right? So, but to me,
Hmm.
if we didn't, we weren't doing our job. If I didn't get people questioning and saying, "Oh, it's got additives," if I didn't get those people coming at me, then we weren't doing our job. But again, having good, intentions and doing things the right way and having everything lined up. We're an open book. I've said it before and I say it again. Anyone that needs some data proof will by all means send it. I think we might have sent it out half a dozen times and, it all checks out obviously. So, but
Hmm.
again, I think the point is that if you're not getting people questioning, if you're not people asking, then you're not doing a good job. You're not making an impact. People aren't recognizing you and they're not seeing you.
Were there any other brand owners or purists reacting differently when you brought it to light?
I mean, look, we went down the gauntlet of aficionados, right? I think everyone's kind of tried it. I think that when you when you step into this world of tequila, one of the things we were kind of going after is like, look, we need the street credit, so we need the aficionados' blessing, so to speak, right? We need the influencers, of course, but just the people that are around it for a while. And aside from the people that are in the limelight, like the names that you know, and I could spit off here and ramble off, and you'd know all of them. There's a lot of people that are not in the limelight that have been around tequila their entire life, and those are the ones that I went to the most to really just pick their brain and try the product and go back and forth. And what I loved is that these are true traditionalists that are born, raised, still living in Mexico that had the product and loved it. And, it's always the ones that are, trying to get the likes and subscribes, so to speak, that have something to say. And I love that. I love it. But at the same time, like I needed to have like the true foundation of the core people that really are around us since birth, right? And that's who I went after first.
Well, having those people on board first and getting their approval, so to speak, which allows for one better marketing. It allows for the word to get out there. Just word of mouth alone can make or break you for sure.
Of course, yeah. And I think again, you could get the top influencers in the world tell you it's great, but then it's the people that really, are baked in tradition and or have been around it their whole life. They don't like it, or they've tried it and don't agree with the statements we've made or whatever. Then it starts to fall flat, and that eventually gets out. So again, like this was you say unapologetic. We're not apologetic. We wanted to create something different, but at the same time, we still are honoring tradition and how it's made. We wanted to make sure it was very clear. And again, we took, guardrails and just kind of spread them out a little bit. And we still somewhat play within that field. I mean, the guardrails are, spread much further for our brand. but there are certain things that we won't do when it comes to the, the core base of the tequila.
With your whole journey in the Quintaliza brand, is there one piece of advice that was bad advice that was given to you?
Not in the tequila aspect, no. You know, we took that very, very slowly. I'd say, like, the biggest problem a lot of times, this is my first business, my first go around at bringing on investors and going down that rabbit hole, I should say. And I think that man, if anyone's starting a business, just make sure that they have some really good people to help them build out their investor cap table.
On your way, has there ever been anybody that has basically said that aging tequila in coffee barrels or tequila coffee, for lack of better words, is a marketing trick that you're trying to market it in a way?
Yeah, I mean, so what? I mean, like, at the end of the day, like, what's your point? If someone say that, so what's your point? Everybody's got a marketing something, right? Everyone's got some kind of fucking gimmick. I don't know if I can swear on this, sorry.
Yeah.
Everyone's got some kind of gimmick. Everyone's got something, like something that they want to push out there. But again, like, where does it come from, right? Is it coming from a means of just to get likes, or is it coming from like a way of trying to be different within a heavy crowded space? So look, Quintaliza tequila, of course, needs to be different. It needs to step out. It needs to be like something that's unique and different that no one's ever heard and seen before. So if I'm going to do that and I'm still doing it responsibly, I'm still doing it additive free, I'm being 100% organic. So is that a gimmick, or is that really just something that's unique, right? It's something that, we're proud of. I think that, no offense, but maybe peanut butter whiskey is a gimmick, right? It's not really. They didn't take the time to do that. I could have easily just thrown coffee flavoring into juice and then made it a gimmick, right? But this process is not that. But at the end of the day, look, we're all doing marketing, right?
Within your journey, is there a battle that has left the biggest scar on you? And what did it teach you the most?
In my journey, is there a battle that left a scar? No. I mean, like, it's like regrets or something like that, something that sticks with me.
Yeah, or is there a struggle that you had along the way, basically, and what was the outcome, and how what did it teach you?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's again, this is a process, right? It's a learning curve. This is my first tequila I've ever made. So there's always going to be things. I'll tell you, the biggest one that's pissed me off the most are these toppers. Just because I'm looking at it, I'm thinking of things that are annoying. These toppers started coming off. We've seen a few where they just come off. The whole damn wood thing comes off, right? So they're not cheap. These we didn't skimp out on these, but and I don't know what's going on, but I'm learning. This is like anything, right? We had to pivot. We got to find a new supplier, and I'm complaining to the current supplier, and but what does it cost me? It cost me the embarrassment of whenever you hand a bottle to someone that you really admire, or someone that you really want them to try it, and the damn wooden top comes off a topper, and it looks like it was made at Toys R Us. I don't know. It's frustrating as all hell. So I think that's the number one thing that of this whole journey that's pissed me off the most. I mean, bottles have been great. Our labels have been great. I know a lot of people ask about why is the orange label at an angle, and I'm like, well, that's the reason right there, because you just asked the question. Because if it was straight, you never would have asked. So I love the fact that you noticed that it's at an angle, and that was the point. Thank you. You acknowledged it.
Well, and honestly, like, if it was horizontal to match with the label, like, the majority of people would only just glance at the orange and they'd be like, "Oh, okay." But
Yeah.
the fact that it is diagonal, you're like, "Oh, what's this?" Like, it actually sparks your interest.
100%. Yeah, we did it 100% on purpose. It's like, is that supposed to be like that? Is that then they just start, again, they dive a little deeper into it, and then they read it, and that's the idea. If it was straight across, I think it, like you said, oh, cool, orange, nice. It wouldn't acknowledge what's on it and give it a second look.
So, during your barrel aging process, what makes it different from anything else out there besides the fact that it's, coffee barrels?
So yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, as you know, we're aged 2 months in American whiskey barrels. Those are barrels that previously held Jack Daniels. Um, the next 3 months is our coffee barrels. So, obviously, if people wonder, well, what the hell's a coffee barrel, right? How we actually make this is we age all of our barrels in cold brew. So we produce all of our cold brew from Chiapas, Mexico. That's where we get all of our organic beans. It's actually produced at a brewery, sorry, in Guadalajara, called Ciento Lindo. It's all actually ran entirely by women. It's the cleanest brewery I've ever been in my life. It's amazing. Amazing group of people. The best beer I've ever had. Just everything. The whole operation's amazing. We've been fortunate enough to teach them how to make cold brew, and in return, they've been making our production. To give you an idea, our last production, they produced 12,000 liters of cold brew. So every single barrel is filled to the brim with cold brew coffee. The reason why we do this is to impart those flavors of coffee into the wood. One of the biggest unique things besides the coffee process is that every single time we do a production, our barrels are technically brand new. So they're first purchased, obviously brand new, never used, char number 3. But then after where we do a production, we actually resurface those and then recharge them so that they are brand new. So technically, the first tenant that ever goes into those barrels is our cold brew coffee. This is a patented process that we spent some time on, making sure that we're very particular on how long certain things stay in there and how we do it. But I can tell you that the cold brew's in there for some time, and then after that, we rinse those barrels out with tequila, let those barrels dry, and then we fill it with our now 2-month reposado after it's done aging in the whiskey barrels.
What's one element of your process that you will never compromise?
That right there. There's a reason why we have to rechar it. There's a reason why we have to put the cold brew in. There's a reason why it stays in for as long as it does. Um, there's a reason why it's aged 5 months. Month number 3, the first month that the tequila is in the cold brew barrels, the tequila tastes like shit. It tastes like burnt coffee. It tastes actually horrible. So if those that know anything about barrels and in the strength of the alcohol, so the higher the APV of the alcohol, the more extraction it has from the wood. So we actually barrel rest at 45, which is the high proof that you have right there. What that does is it goes for a slower extraction. Most tequilas I think are aging around 55, and then they dilate down. We are aged barrel strength at 45. This is on purpose because it takes a little bit more time to get through those coffee flavors and then get into the char so that you get a happy balance. So at month 5, 3 months in the coffee barrels, you're actually starting to lose the coffee flavor. And that's when we want to pull it because, again, this is a subtle note of coffee. This is tequila forward, not a coffee tequila. This is a tequila that has subtle notes of coffee, dark chocolate. It's not like, oh my God, coffee. Some palates do get the coffee right away. Sometimes people can actually smell it. Even me personally, I have a hard time smelling the coffee in the tequila. I don't actually get it until it hits the back of my throat after I've swallowed. It's kind of this lingering note. And that is what I was after. I wasn't after this, forward coffee. You get a little bit more of the complexity in those coffee notes on the high proof just because it's not down to a 40, but on our standard 40, I think that was the idea.
After I've let it open up, I can get a light hint of coffee on the nose, and then I don't taste the coffee until after it's gone down, and you get that residual coffee effect to it, which is very, very light, in my opinion. Like I get more of the dark chocolate type flavor on the back end.
Yeah, I mean that was exactly what I was going for.
One of the things that I really want to ask you is with this being the way that it is in coffee barrels, and you get those skeptics while you're out, showcasing the brand, how do you get them to take the first sip?
I mean, the reality is that if someone doesn't want to try it, they don't want to try it. And honestly, I'm not here to force you to drink, right? I think that people that are open-minded that want to try something different, they normally do. And of course, we have a few people that I hate coffee, and they're usually the ones that love it the most. To be honest with you, I found that the more you tell me how much you hate coffee, the more I'm inclined to push a little bit more and to just to try it because I am just so curious, just because I've had a pretty strong success rate on those that hate coffee that love Quintaliza. Some super diehard fans now that will drink Quintaliza, after dinner instead of while everyone else is having a coffee, they'll have some Quintaliza and feel like they're fitting in. But yeah, no, I think that um, when you have in the proper setting and everyone's obviously trying different sips, or you're at a convention or you're at a tasting event, those people are all very open-minded. They're trying they want to try it, right? I think when you have people that you got to try and sell them a little bit more as like a tasting at a Total Wine or another retail location where you've got a table set up and you're like, here, try my tequila at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday. And it's a little harder of a push, right? And quite honestly, like, I mean, well, let's put ourselves in the consumer's feet, right? Like, I'm walking through Total Wine and I'm trying to buy a bottle of wine for a dinner at my friend's house, and someone's trying to push a tequila down my throat. And I'm like, no, dude, I don't want a tequila right now. So you have to just understand and read the room of where you're at and understand that not everyone's going to want to try it. However, I will tell you that when they do and they say yes and they try it and they go for it, very rarely, and I'm not just saying this, we very rarely have someone say that they don't like it, they don't care for it. It has happened, but again, like, it's so tough because, like, if I have a tequila at, you know, before 4 o'clock sometimes, depending on what I just ate, it's a lot, right? Alcohol at
Mm-hmm.
40% or more. If I've not been drinking all day or I haven't had a drink for a couple of days or whatever the case may be, I just got done chewing big red bubble gum or something, and now I come in and I'm gonna have a tequila. It's gonna be a little bit of a shock to my palate. So I think it's an educational aspect. I think, a lot of times I try to read the room with the people. Um, Tell them it's the third sip that matters. The first sip is kind of getting their palate adjusted, and and sometimes they go through the whole spiel, and sometimes they don't.
You kind of touched on this a little bit ago as far as marketing and stuff, but how do you compete in a world full of celebrity backed brands and big corporate brands?
You don't. You don't. You don't try to. It's the Michael Phelps approach, right? You stop looking at people in the lane next to you. Just keep going forward. I'm not interested in a celebrity brand. They're just completely different than me. They've got, at the end of the day, if you're looking at a marketing race, right? How could I ever compare to The Rock, right? I'm Mike Winters from Pittsburgh. He's Dwayne Johnson, right? Come on. So it's a matter of like where they started their branding to where they're at, right? And some people love the authentic, the organic, the story of of an entrepreneur that started a product from ground and built it, and they stay away from the celebrity backed brands or whatever, and others go for what the celebrity tells them to buy. But I will tell you that even in our world, right, Quintaliza, I personally can only take it so far. It just is what it is, right? If you're looking to try to expand the brand and try to grow it, there's a couple things that needs to happen. One, you need money to do it. And two, you need recognition. And you can only go so far with the recognition and with the branding that the underdog story gives you, right? It can grow, but even every underdog story had somebody that helped them, right? It was a post from Oprah, or it was a comment from somebody that had a huge following, or it's engagement with aficionados that collectively have millions of followers. So in a way, we're always reaching out to celebrities to help us get more attention and get more acknowledgement. Um, and I think that that's the best way to do it, to be honest with you. For me, it's, I can't pay attention to what Casamigos is doing. They don't need my help. They've got their own thing, and it's a different path and journey in which that I'm going after, But I'll tell you, there's a lot of celebrity brands I think that do it right. That do really do a good job with their fans, and hats off to them.
And talking about the process and leadership and everything, what kind of leader did you become in order to get this brand off the ground?
I think the biggest thing with any CEO, or anyone that's a team leader or has that role with, they're trying to help gear people, even a coach. I coach ice hockey. I've been coaching hockey for a long time. It's understanding that your way is not always the right way, right? It's one way, and that's a good suggestion. And at the end of the day, your job as a CEO is to find people that are better than you at that specific position, right? You start the company with a shitload of hats and you want to take the hat off for someone that's better than you and you want to be able to learn from them, right? Study and understand what it is that they do, bring your own outside of the box thoughts and concepts on what it is that they're doing, and then they can help steer the ship, so to speak, in that one silo. So I think for a CEO, the best job is to just surround yourself with people that are better. I mean, in hockey, I tell the kids, like, hey, look, play with kids that are better. Play with people that are faster. You'll start skating harder, you'll start passing harder, you'll start scoring more goals because they put you in the right spot. So at the end of the day, that's exactly how I build a team is I look for people that are skating faster, that are, passing harder, and it puts me in the right spot to score.
Talking about legacy, what do you want Quintaliza to leave in both the tequila world and in the coffee world, legacy wise?
That's a great question. I think again that you know, my lofty goal is that when you reach for a tissue, you ask for a Kleenex, but they're not called Kleenex, they're called tissue. I think that if there's a world where tequilas and other brands start coming up with innovation, there will be copycats, there will be people that do things. There's already some rums and bourbons that, are doing this after we started doing it, I must say. I'd love it to be always, oh, like Quintaliza, Quintaliza was the first that did this. Because, I think the hardest part is that you can come up with something great and super unique, super different, world's first. But then someone comes in with $1 billion, check that has a ton of money in their pocket, and they can kind of overshadow you pretty quickly. And it feels like you were the second place, even though you created it, right? Um, for me, it's trying to make sure I stay authentic and we keep pushing hard on what we're doing and our messaging. And, much to the marketing aspect, I mean, we have to pivot. We have to find ways to get the brand out there and get attention. And, I think for us, it's partnering with the right people. It's like the word celebrity has such a bad, negative and, impact sometimes in the world of tequila. But there's a lot of people that are celebrities that are, not the Hollywood celebrities that I think that we're associating with. So again, I pivot.
Yeah, I see that. But I don't think necessarily that the normal everyday consumer considers those individual celebrities. I think it's more of that Hollywood aspect that they consider celebrities. And in my opinion, I think one, celebrities want to get into it. Obviously, one for the money, and they have the deep pockets, which can lead to the deeper marketing and more commercials, more billboards, and all of that stuff. But I think when it comes down to it, a good portion of Hollywood celebrities, athletic celebrities, I think that they just want to put their name on it, but they don't want to put their name on anything with quality.
True. Yeah. Well, again, a lot of times those, depending on how the company is set up, and a lot of these are just, VC sharks that are looking for, they're just bottom line. What's the bottom line? And they go after these celebrities in order to increase that bottom, so that they can have more profits. It's all about the dollars and not necessarily about the quality. Um, when you do a brand like Quintaliza, it's about the quality, and but we're still after volume, right? At the end of the day, we still want to create volume. We still want to make this a brand. I've been fortunate enough, like I said, I've been doing importing and distribution for quite some time, and I've just seen a lot of brands, in my opinion, fail so fast by growing so big, right? They've completely ignored the deeper versus wider approach because I don't think they realize what that actually means. Deeper versus wider is extremely hard, and it costs a lot of money in the beginning. So what happens is that they go wider because they're chasing purchase orders, opening up new markets because it's another PO and another PO. So they're not getting dilution, they're just getting POs, and they think they're growing. And on paper, it looks good. So to the VC guys and to everybody else, like, "Oh, wow, you guys are up 1,000%." But the reality is that once those all those placements have been hit and all those markets have been opened, they now have to do something about it. Now the product's just sitting, and quite honestly, it's a really bad business model in my opinion. So I think that for us, it's focusing on this deeper versus wider approach, but, trying to be as impactful as we can within those markets. And, in doing so, you're going to have to pivot and find the right people to help to spread that word.
If Quintaliza was erased tomorrow, what would be the first thing that you would rebuild?
If I was starting it over again,
Yeah.
I'd do it exactly the same way. Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I wouldn't change a damn thing, except for these damn toppers. Yeah,
You know,
everything else stays the same. I just would delete these toppers. And again, there's some investor stuff I think that I would change just because that was advised illy, but um that's not gonna make or break the brand.
and 10 years from now, 15 years from now, when people pour a glass of Quintaliza, what do you want them to feel?
Um the way that I felt the first day that I poured it, like holy shit, this is so different. And the reality is that I think that's what I love about Kindleiza is that um I won't drink it for a while, right? I might not have it for a week or something, or 2 weeks. Sometimes I go on, yeah, I don't drink. And I've had other products, maybe I was traveling or I had something and I come back and I have Quintaliza and I swear every time I'm like, "Damn, this shit's good." And it's maybe I'm biased, obviously, but it's good. It's just so different, and I think that's what I love about it. So I think for me, if you're gonna pour a glass and maybe you've had some other tequilas or if you had something else or a wine or you pour it and you're like, I get it. It's different. It's definitely different and it's unique and it's hopefully you enjoy it, whether it's in a cube or neat or whatever. I think that or even in a cocktail, I think that's what, Quintaliza is is starting to become really known for is the versatility. And that definitely wasn't what I set out to do, but that's what it's becoming.
Two just kind of like off the wall questions for you.
Yeah. Yeah, outstanding.
The first, if you could have a drink with someone alive or dead right now, who would you have a drink with?
You're drinking Quintaliza or am I drinking something else?
Your choice. Just sharing. Well, yeah. Let's share a pour of Quintaliza.
If I'm sharing a glass of Quintaliza, I'm gonna have a drink with my dad who passed away 2 years ago. Just because he didn't really saw it get to where it is now. So definitely with my father. Um, yeah, it's probably it. Yeah, other person, probably Frank Sinatra. Big fan.
Okay. And then the last one, dealing with also along the same lines, you get one pour with your last drink. Any drink, what are you reaching for?
It seems cliche to say Quintaliza. Um, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm not a huge drinker. It's kind of funny to say that. But I'm really not. Like I drink probably often, more often than I probably should. But I drink wine, tequila, and coffee and water. Very rarely do I have a beer. But I do enjoy a good old fashioned. So maybe I'll go with that.
Okay. If someone were looking for you online, where can they find Quintalizo? Where can they follow you on Instagram or all your socials?
I mean, I recently Googled myself, which I thought was hilarious. I typed in Mike Winter's tequila, and there's a lot of shit there. That was actually pretty surprising. Someone told me to do that because they did it, and I was kind of blown away by how much stuff's on there. So I'm really not hard to find if you want to find me. But as far as Quintaliza, yeah, I just type in Quintaliza tequila on Instagram, on Facebook, TikTok. Our main account is definitely Instagram. That's where all the fun stuff is. We have a YouTube channel as well, Quintaliza Tequila. So we're always putting out some ridiculous content, something unique, something funny. Um, Again, we've got a pretty big announcement coming up here in the next couple weeks here. There'll be an announcement that we're a new partner we're bringing on, which is so on brand for Quintaliza, which I love. This is it's I'll say a big announcement intended.
I look forward to hearing this said announcement.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I think again, we're doing what we got to do to stand out and to be different and to be unique. And I think, like I said, kind of like along the story, it's like you're in this marketing game because it really comes down to marketing, right? And I think people don't realize how involved that is and how hard it is to be different in our marketing and in our messaging. It's constantly coming up with new concepts and new ways to get people's attention. Like right now, we're doing our Eras campaign, which in July it's all 70s. Everything is 70s related. Our swag is 70s related. Next month will be 80s, and then followed by the 90s. And it's just a way to engage with our audience, right? We've been dove deep into our demographics and to what our age demographics, people that are genuinely, paying attention, and we're trying to flush it out to make sure that we're on the right track, and I think we are.
That's awesome. And final question: how many states are you in currently?
Currently, we're in Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, and New Jersey. And it's a lot of people ask, why in the hell are you in those states, right? We started in Florida, we launched in Florida, so naturally that's our first market. It would not be my market of choice to launch any brand in. Florida's a very difficult market. It's actually broken up in 5 different markets, so it does create some challenges. But I chose that state because obviously we live there and I've got a lot of connections. After that, we went to Jersey, which is a weird state, I think, for number two. But for us, and for my opinion, it's a reciprocating state between Florida and Jersey. We have a lot of snowbirds that from Jersey that fly down to Florida in the winter, and they go back up in the summer. So again, when we slow down, like we are right now in Florida, Jersey starts picking up, which it is. So the concept is working. Tennessee is the same way. We get a lot of vacationers that are going from the east down into to Nashville and to Tennessee, definitely during the summer. You've got a lot of bachelor parties, bachelorette parties, and come on, everyone knows Nashville, so it does very, very well. And then South Carolina is a Class B state. It's a stab at a Class B, and I think we want to try and understand that market. And it kind of plays along the lines, we're deep in the golfing community. South Carolina's got a lot of big golfing communities. They've got a good mix. I mean, you got from college towns to beach towns. There's a really good mix there. And again, a lot of people from the north travel down to South Carolina. So you look at Jersey, it's a border state. There's a lot of states that border it. South Carolina is very similar. A lot of people come in from, North Carolina and buying stuff. So I think we're on a right approach, and all states are actually doing really, really well. I'm actually surprised South Carolina is actually doing very well. We just
Well,
launched that a couple months ago.
well, Mike, I do appreciate your time and I appreciate you being on the show. Everyone go check out Mike Winters and Quintaliza Tequila. If you are able to order online, or if you're in one of the states that Quintaliza is in, go pick up a bottle. I highly recommend it to you. All right,
Thank you so
everyone.
much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, cheers.